itchy. Get your Nancy mode.
That was Pepper. She just wanted to make a little cameo. Okay, welcome back, guys, to Vigilante Mode Reviews. Let's just do a little housekeeping really quick. Keep an eye out for the Star Wars review. We got some work happening on it, so stay tuned for that. That should be up relatively soon. A friend of mine who I actually worked with, she actually made a feature-length movie. It's pretty impressive. I'm not going to do a review on it, but I am going to do a spotlight, talk about it, hype it up a little bit, get some of you folks to see it, because it's pretty damn good. With that said, I'm going to combine my two reviews for Detroit and for Dunkirk. I'm going to put it in one video. I feel like they go good together because they both have definitely some Oscar caliber elements to it. Let's talk about it. Detroit is directed by Kathryn Bigelow. Big fan of her work. I would actually say my favorite movie of hers is Point Break. For those of you who don't know, Kathryn Bigelow is the director of The Hurt Locker and Zero Dark 30. So Detroit is a historical drama, if you will, and it's basically about the Detroit riots when racial tensions were extremely high, particularly in the city of Detroit. Police brutality was almost like a given thing in that time and in those kinds of cities. We do kind of sort of focus a little bit on John Boyega. I'm obviously very impressed with what he did in Force Awakens, and it was great to see him in a movie like this where he really got to stretch his acting ability. There are some incredible performances in this movie, guys, across the board. I don't think anybody phones it in this movie. Everybody was just dialed up to an 11. Anthony Mackie appears in this movie, along with Hannah Murray from Game of Thrones, who plays Gilly. And there's so many others, but I really honestly gotta say that this actor, Will Poulter, who I've never seen before, he gave a phenomenal performance. This guy was amazing and so intense and so committed to the role. He plays a pretty despicable, unlikable character. And nonetheless, I was riveted by his performance. Algie Smith, I think that's how you pronounce his first name. Wow, I mean, he was just fantastic, man. I mean, like, this movie really hit me home. I think this movie is extremely relevant right now. It's not really one of those movies for me where I was really, like, picking apart all the, you know, inaccuracies or things that, you know, like technical filmmaking bits. I was so immersed, I was so invested. There's nothing I really disliked about this film. It was so powerful. I think it's so timely. I think it's such an important thing to see right now. It's literally exactly what you could literally go on Facebook and see videos of things that happened in this movie happening to young black men or Muslims or gays right now in America. It just showed that, like, not much has really changed. One of my favorites of this year so far, I'm really gonna be rooting for this movie. I'm gonna give this movie an A+. I loved it. I'll get to my top 10 movies of the summer pretty soon. I can't stress it enough. This is a great movie. And if you want to see something that's not, you know, explosions, although there are a couple of explosions in this movie, if you want to see something that has a lot of depth to it right now, in theaters right now, go see this movie. Okay, so that's Detroit. Now let's talk about Dunkirk. Christopher Nolan, I honestly would put him up in the, like, maybe top 3 directors of recent years who has really affected me personally and my filmmaking. It was definitely a movie that exceeded my expectations. I'm really glad that I saw it. I thought there was some really great filmmaking involved. Dunkirk stars a lot of white guys. I'm just kidding, but I'm serious. I guess in that circumstance, there weren't a whole lot of, like, minorities fighting maybe in that particular region. Although I did see some stories about how, you know, the French and the Indian armies definitely had, like, a big impact. I know there were a lot of black soldiers in the French army. And I will say this, that you do see a few black faces, but it's not like any of these guys are main characters in the movie. Sure, I mean, like, I think that it's great to show a, you know, diverse cast. I think that this movie is kind of like an acquired taste in some ways. Like, it's not really your typical war movie. Hacksaw Ridge was one of my favorite movies of 2016. This movie, it's nothing like Hacksaw Ridge, even though it is in the same war. This one kind of explores a lot more of, like, the naval sort of aspect of it. The plot of the movie, this is in the trailer, it's not a spoiler, it's just like they basically have to kind of conscript civilian ships to kind of, like, aid to get people off the beach. That was compelling. I think for me, the thing that I just didn't really love about the movie was that it broke so much of like the familiarity of structure that we're used to in seeing a movie. Who is your protagonist and whose story are we following and who are we connecting with as an audience? It takes a little while for this movie for me as an audience member to like find who that character was or is. I did find certain characters that I was invested in their story for sure. Some really great performances. Mark Rylance is kind of the guy to definitely highlight here. Works with Spielberg a lot. He's gonna be in Ready Player One. Tom Hardy, we get a little bit of a revisit from.
You merely adopted the dog. I was born in it.
Yeah, Tom Hardy's in here. His face is covered again for like this entire movie pretty much. He's kind of like this badass pilot. Definitely the action in this movie was very, very cool. And similar to Detroit, without the usage of CGI, at least that I could really see, it was really nice to see, a filmmaker, or both of these films, have, great visual spectacle without the usage of CGI. Pretty much all Chris Nolan movies, I'd say even The Dark Knight, definitely play with time. Time is definitely an aspect of filmmaking that I think Christopher Nolan really appreciates and respects. He really likes to play with how things fit together and like when things transpire. I'd say the first act of this movie I was very confused, like what's going on? It got more clear, and I would say actually that element kind of compelled me even more to like see how things would work out for certain characters. Like Christopher Nolan, I think, is the king of intercutting scenes. This guy is so good at like having a scene here and then like beginning a new scene and then having like the trail end of another scene and then cutting back to that first scene, and then you finally get like another minute or so, and then as the guy's drowning, the next scene cuts. I mean, sometimes felt a little bit like indulgent, but I think that's really his style. It's like a taste. It's like either you like it or you don't. I liked it. It definitely was better than I was hoping it would be, and it definitely landed more here emotionally with me as well. So I'm gonna give Dunkirk an A-. Good film. Very good film. Probably gonna buy this on Blu-ray. There's so much of this movie that's done and told without dialogue, and I'm very impressed by that. So those guys are my reviews for Detroit and Dunkirk. Again, A+ for Detroit and A- for Dunkirk. So these are definitely two really good films, I think. I just think that Detroit deserves a little bit more attention than it's getting right now. What did you guys think of either of these movies? If you've seen it, I know I'm a little late. Leave a comment down below. I really want to know what you thought about those films. Don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, unless otherwise specified, all of my reviews are non-spoiler, and you can leave a comment if you do watch this video if you think that I was too spoilery. It's hard to kind of review a movie without saying a few of like the plot points, but a lot of what I talk about is in the trailers, so I don't really feel like it's spoilers. If you feel like I'm spoiling things, then I'll pull back a little bit. Keep that in mind if you're interested in sharing these videos with other film fans, because I really feel like that's what this channel is for. I feel like it's really for people who love movies a lot, like myself. As always, guys, please like, share, and subscribe to Vigilante Mode Reviews, and until next time.
Vigilante mode deactivated.